Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge,
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
and let's talk horror. So today we are joined by the amazing writer, director, and sometimes Jason Voorhees, Vin Disanti himself. Vin, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, guys.
It's
Absolutely.
truly an honor to have you back on the show, and I know
Mhm.
Ashley's always wanted to work with you. We are big fans of your work. For those of you that don't know, Vin is writer, director, Never Hike Alone, Never Hike in the Snow, movies that Ashley and I are both very big fans of. So we did want to say beforehand, thank you again for coming back on the show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm always happy to, talk about the films and, spread the word and, get insight from, people who actually watch the films and get a chance to talk to you. It actually helps me a lot when I'm approaching, actually making one.
Mhm.
Yeah, so and with this, obviously you are doing an Indiegogo right now for Never
Hmm.
Hike Alone 2, and we
Hmm.
do have all those links down in the description, guys. So you can come out. We always want to remind you that yes, you're getting some amazing gifts for helping out, but it's also you're helping this art to be made, and you're
Hmm.
helping a film to be made that is super important and super special, especially to everybody in the Friday the 13th universe. So can you give us kind of a spoiler-free synopsis about what we can expect in Never Hike Alone 2?
Yeah, Never Hike Alone 2 picks up 3 months after the events of Never Hike in the Snow, the prequel film that we released in 2020. It picks up with Tommy Jarvis living in Crystal Lake, still living with this fear that Jason is out in the woods, that he is responsible, but he can't produce the evidence to say that, Jason is a real thing. We also
Mhm.
have, returning from Never Hike in the Snow is Anna Campbell, who plays Dr. Diana Hill, whose son went missing in Never Hike in the Snow and sort of kicks off this part of the story. She's still dealing with the grief of her son going missing 3 months later, returning to work for the first time and trying to deal with that. We have returning Vinny Guastafara to play the ever fun and loving Sheriff Rick Corleone, who still believes that Tommy is the one who's responsible for um, all of this mayhem that's happening in town. And of course, I think my favorite person who's coming back is Andrew Lady from Never Hike Alone. Never Hike Alone 2 also acts as a sequel to Never Hike Alone 1. This is the true sequel to Never Hike Alone 1, and this was all supposed to be put together 4 years ago or 3 years ago, but
Mhm.
the pandemic obviously spread it out. But yeah, this is the conclusion to the Never Hike Alone saga. This is where all of these storylines are leading. It's going to pick up after the events of Never Hike in the Snow. It's going to run right into the events of Never Hike Alone with Kyle MacLeod being rescued by Tommy Jarvis, and then everything else that happens after the ambulance drove away and Never Hike Alone 1. This is Tommy versus Jason. Like you've never seen it before. This is a 3-act structure of a kaiju fight film, where our monsters are meeting up at the end of each act, having big fights until, only one or none are left standing, and we get a conclusion to this storyline. Um, it's fun. I mean, it was fun making this film. There's a lot of different sets. We're at a hospital, we're at the camp, we're in the forest, we're on the road. There's a lot of really, really good stuff. We answer a lot of questions, and just like Never Hike Alone to Never Hike in the Snow, Never Hike in the Snow to Never Hike Alone 2, the production value has been upped. There's multi-digit deaths. There is mayhem. There's gunfire. There's lots of it's
Yeah.
very action oriented, just like Never Hike Alone 1. But it's also very emotionally grounded. I mean, we're still picking up with each character as they're dealing with the reality that is upon them in their own emotional arcs throughout the film. And I think that, each actor brought in, their own flavor to their own character, but everyone sort of gets their full story told. We also have a guest appearance by Douglas Tate, who played Jason Voorhees in Freddy versus Jason. He plays one of
Mhm.
the deputies. And then we have a fantastic crowd, cast of characters that round everything out, from our menial victims all the way through our lead cast. So it's a really fun and for the Friday the 13th fan out there, just for horror fans in general, this is going to be a fun event come October 13th.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's exciting.
Yeah, we're very, very excited about
Yeah.
it.
So, what made you want to make a sequel to this?
I mean, I think the opportunity to work with Tom and Vinny was a big piece of it. I wish that Never Hike Alone would have opened a door for us to do this on a traditional studio route, where we could have gone and, you know, raised millions of dollars to shoot these films. But I saw it as an opportunity. I moved to Los Angeles in 2008 so I could work on Friday the 13th film. That opportunity has never presented itself, much of it due to development hell and then legal issues and then writer strikes and all these different things that have gotten in the way of being able to pursue getting on the films. And what other chance was I going to have to put Tom Matthews, Vinny Guastafaro on the screen again and build out a story of Jason with no interference from any outside parties, no other owner, no other writer, no anything,
Sure.
just from a fan's perspective of I'm showing the other fans where I've always wanted to see this go. Join me on this ride if you will. If you don't, you can just watch for free. You know what I mean? It's really presented this sort of I feel like Jerry Maguire, like, you know, giving up on Friday the 13th, being like, that's it, I'm done. Who's coming with me? And we've done, you know, over 3,000 people have backed this latest campaign. This is a film made by fans for fans. You know, we're fans ourselves as much as we work in the industry, but at the same time, like there are 3,000 people whose names are going to be listed in the credits that if it wasn't for them stepping up and contributing to it, this doesn't happen. All of those funds go directly into making the film. Every single scene in this film was based on someone giving either between $20 and $60 or maybe $500. Like that's basically the three most popular, you know, prices that people pay to back the films. So you're talking about thousands of people coming together to make this happen. And, you know, we try to in turn give our fans something that's worth their investment. And, you know, I'm happy to say that as the film comes together and we put the final touches, I mean, we're going to be working on it right up until release, but you got to kind of sit back because for a while it's, you know, you can't see the forest through the trees. You're just plowing through each week, trying to get as much stuff as you can get done, coming up with a lot of obstacles along the way. So yeah, why do this again? This is such a headache. I mean, it's stressful. It takes you to the highs, peaks and valleys of your emotional, you know, sort of spectrums. But I think at the end of the day, like when we look back, when the film's released, when we look back on this sort of run of fan films, I think it's special. I think we've done something special. I saw this as an opportunity, a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I took it and I had to put my life on pause to do it. I had to take make a lot of sacrifices, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be able to sort of leave my mark on the Friday the 13th world in the way that I've always wanted to do it. Not asking life to sort of give me what I want, but rather going out and taking it in a way and finding the best opportunity to do that. And then once this is done, I've completed and I've told the story. I've stuck something out. I said I was going to do it. You know, pandemic got in the way, freaking forest emergencies got in the way, everything got in the way. But we finished it. We saw it through, and you know, I'm a much better filmmaker than I was when I started this. You know, I've learned a ton. I've built Womp Stomp Films up from the ground up, and now we have a chance, as I'm turning 40 years old, you know, in October, to say I have my 40s to look forward to making original content. We have a great team. We stand by what we created in the fan film world. We'll still help other people reach their goals, but at the same time, we have a lot of original stories to tell, and we're excited to tackle that. And I feel like this feels like the closing of a chapter of a story that, you know, felt like in some regards like a little bit of a destiny route for me. Of course I was going to go on and work at Friday the 13th in some way, and then after this, you know, it's, you know, whatever I can figure out, I'm going to figure out. But it's just nice to know that I've done this. I had this opportunity and we were able to see it all the way through the end, which I think is pretty special. And I can't think of many other fan productions that have done this, you know, to this level of degree. So I would say that, yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to do something special with it. And I think at the end of the day, you know, we get to turn around and be like, wow, look at this. This is pretty special.
Yeah.
And that was actually leading into my next question, actually, because making fan films, people look at that as, oh, you're just, you know, paying service to these, but you're not. You're making your own films. And we've said many times that fan films, they are much more true to heart because they're made by fans. You know, you are a fan of this franchise. So you're not out there trying to make money. You're out there. I mean, making money is obviously an amazing
That's
thing,
a perk, right?
but you know, you're doing it for your love of the genre, your love of this franchise, to try to make the best interpretation and the continuation of the Tommy Jarvis story that you can. So, what do you think is the most important quality to make a fan film the right way?
Yeah, I mean, the real way that you're going to do it, especially if you're going to crowdfund it, is that you just give your backers what they paid for. that you deliver what you say you're going to deliver, and that you're just honest about where you're at, because people are going to approach fan films are meant to be enjoyed by people of all skill levels.
Sure.
I think as long as you're going into it with the concept of like, you've always just wanted to work on one, you always just wanted to get together with your friends or get together with your filmmaking buddies and your crew, and you wanted to throw your hat in the ring as far as saying like, we love Friday the 13th. This is what my Friday the 13th would look like. I think as long as you have that sort of aspect with nothing and expecting nothing in return. I think some of the people go into this is that like they think that they're owed some sort of fandom or press, or that people owe them a review on YouTube or something like that just because they've made one. I think that like you just got to kind of go and figure it out. Like I had not ulterior motives with Never Hike Alone, but I had ulterior motives with myself as a director and filmmaker with Never Hike Alone, and the fact that I was going after a certain look. I was like, I've seen a lot of independent films, I've seen a lot of independent friends films, and I need to get my storytelling language and ability up to a level where when I'm done with this, I want this to be indicative of something that I could get a job directing, that's saying that someone would trust me with a certain amount of money. And I was coming out of a professional career with that. I think if someone's going to approach this from hey, I'm a weekend filmmaker and I do this, I think that like the expectations are there. But if you look at what we've done, yes, we do use some expensive cameras. We do have some expensive equipment that we worked with, but these things can be recreated on smaller levels. And that is the game that I play. If you want it to look good, you can play the game that I'm playing, which is work on a bigger set, or go to a bigger set, or do some research on bigger sets and figure out how you can create those tools for a much lesser price, or with the tools that you have, recreate some of the same techniques that are done with much bigger and more expensive pieces of equipment on larger sets, because that's ultimately what we do. We're not using the top of the line equipment. We don't have the balloon lights in the air that can fill the night sky and do all of these things. We have to figure out the next level down that works in our budget level. And to be successful at it, you have to look at sort of what resources you have around you. Do you have a location? Do you know where there's an actual abandoned camp? Do you have a friend with a cabin? Are you a proficient hiker and have a bunch of camping equipment? You could set up a really nice campground. You got to think about what settings you can shoot in and you can make look good, and how much time and investment are you going to put into your costume? Because at the end of the day, what does your Jason look like? It all hinges on that. Honestly, like if you're a cosplayer, this is a great moving reel. Why not just take photos for Halloween this year? This is where it started for me. It started with me with photos, and then I wanted that photo to move. I wanted that photo to interact. I wanted that photo to kill somebody on screen, like I saw in the movies. And that's really where it stems from. And you just take it piece by piece. A moving photo, a scene, a short film, a little bit longer of a short film, and a feature. And you can work your way up to it. It just depends on, how much time and you want to invest into it. But the filmmaking tools are out there. The filmmakers are out there to partner with. And if anything, a fan film can really bring a community together. It can bring fans together. I've met, I got to work with James Sweet and Carl Winnery on Jason Rising. That meant trips to Portland every other month to go help them go shoot something, and bonded a great friendship. I've helped people out with Halloween fan films in different parts of the country. I've been to Arizona, Michigan, Washington, the Midwest. It's been all over the place. And so it can unite people over a fandom and a commonality. It's just at the end of the day, you got to remember to have fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, you make what you make, you take a look at it, you take the best, honest, thing you can get out of it and expect nothing out of it. And if people like it, people like it. And if it doesn't set the world on fire, well, guess what? You still have those memories of making it.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down for me. Like, it's nice, yes, the plays and getting to do those things. But, there was a time, I think on Never Hike Alone 2, Andrew and I were doing a scene together, and it's a scene where Kyle's doing some GoPro stuff. And when we do that, we really have to clear set because you can see everything around you. And once again, it felt like we went all the way back to Never Hike Alone 1, where it was just me and Drew. And part of the first trailer we ever did was just me and Drew passing a camera back and forth, just like real low level stuff. I mean, there we out there, like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment, like down the bottom of the hill. And there's me and Drew out there with a GoPro, and we finished the scene and I was just like, hey, it's just like old times, right? Like, and that's sort of like,
That's
I think
amazing.
the quintessential like goal of a fan film at the end of the day is that you get to do that because, you're not finishing the film and then going out and looking for distribution and how you can pay your financiers back. And you have to, get your perks out and you have to do those things. That's a part of the responsibility. But it's a celebration.
Yeah.
It's really what it is.
Absolutely.
It's a celebration of hard work, getting together and doing something special for Friday the 13th or Halloween. I mean, pick a special occasion that will be fun for
Right.
you and,
Hmm.
make it your staple thing. And that's what it was for me. It was Friday the 13th. It was, I wanted to do something special for Friday the 13th. Like, let me show you how big of a fan I am. I'm going to make this whole friggin' fan film and I'm going to share it with everybody. Hopefully somebody likes it.
Right.
And we definitely did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and 6 years later, here I am making a sequel that was made for 4 or 5 times the amount of the original.
Yeah.
Um, and getting the opportunity, like, Tom coming on and all these things just opened up this opportunity for us to really do something with it. And
Mhm.
if you had that chance, wouldn't you take it if you had
Right.
the
Yeah.
resources around you? And so I just sort of I just started following it, and here it is. Here I am at I'm very close to the end of this tunnel. And it's a pretty fun ride.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
What would you say you learned from Never Hike Alone and Never Hike in the Snow to kind of help you with the new film?
Wow. I mean, every time you make a film, you learn from your mistakes.
Mhm.
I think that if anything, it was really kind of honing in on what we could do well and what we not that we don't do well, but that is harder with the size crew that we have. And so, I think with Never Hike Alone, we did a few larger days with crew, but it was mostly small teams. And then with Never Hike in the Snow, we could never do a small team. I think we might have done like a smaller team for some pickups, but we really had to have a full on crew. And so that was 6 days and that was expensive. And so that really did teach us what we needed to know to go into this because Never Hike Alone 2 was 16 days of shooting and we still have one more to go.
Right.
We've locked down the cut, but there were certain things that we always knew we would pick up during the post process because they were a very sort of specific shot that we needed to just drop in. So we just kind of got it out of the way of everything else. But it's 16 days full on cruise, massive travel. I mean, like it was just Never Hike in the Snow was like a brief glimpse of the amount of work that it was going to take to get Never Hike Alone 2 done. And I think it was just like taking bigger and bigger bites with each one. Um, with Never Hike Alone 1, we learned that we didn't want to spend an entire year making a movie. We didn't
Right.
want to spend the entire year spreading out the production and doing those things. Never Hike in the Snow taught us how to make it all in one fell swoop. And unfortunately, we ran into so many scheduling issues on Never Hike Alone 2. It sort of became a mismatch of the two. It was like multiple Never Hike in the Snow shoots, one after the other, like 5 to 6 day chunks of just shooting straight, long periods off in between, 4 or 5 days here, long periods off in between, which ended up creating more cost. But at the end of the day, you're beholden to the circumstances around you. We had the San Bernardino National Forest was under a state of emergency because it received too much precipitation during the winter months and the snow caps were too high. And so, we're all sitting around, honestly, and I'm one of them going, oh, well, snow caps are high. Who gives a shit? Like, we can get out there and shoot. Like, the snow's melting, blah, 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 all this stuff. We shot all the film out. We had to wait until that got released. We ended up having to move something that was supposed to shoot in May all the way back into late June. And in fact,
Mhm.
no, I actually think we were supposed to start shooting in April. We were supposed to start shooting in April. And that scene had to move all the way back into June. We did get it. But guess what? We had a hurricane 2 weeks ago in Los Angeles. Well, all of the damage created by the massive snowpack that kind of melted, and everyone was like, well, it was a state of emergency. At least nothing happened, but something could have happened. Well,
Yeah.
the rain that we got with the hurricane just washed away the entire road it takes for us to get up to
Oh,
that camp.
oh my
So
gosh.
good thing we got all the shooting in
Right.
Yeah.
because like you can't get to the camp right now. Right now you have to like literally park a mile away and like hike up to the road where the camp is and then take the I don't even know what the camp looks like right now. So it's just a lot of stuff like that. So it goes to show you that like, you're battling a lot of elements, especially with Never Hike Alone. It's been like that camp has been slowly being swallowed by the mountain. And it's kind of crazy. So we've just been battling a lot of and so it spread out, the way that the production was going to be done. It increased costs. It meant that we had to, campaign harder and raise more money, shift our schedules around and stuff like that. So I think that every time we sort of do one of these, we're learning. So that was a lot of new stuff for us. Handling a production of this size, going through all of that stuff was really tough, and balancing that with continuing the need to continue to crowdfund because it was creating additional costs. It doubled our vehicle budget. It doubled our lodging budget. It doubled our insurance budget. And so it just sort of we were like, wow, none of these costs we thought we were going to have to deal with because we thought we were so scheduled ahead. Something comes and knocks that out. So it never ends. I mean, up until the moment where the film is released, and even after the film is released, there's still stuff to figure out. But I think that what you learn is you just sort of take the good with the bad, put your head down and keep moving forward. And do the best with what you got. And it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be the way you originally imagined it, but at least if you get everything there and you follow the formula, something will come out in the end. And luckily, even with all those delays, because we shot something that was very well thought out, we were able, it came together very fast and editorial. And we're still able to kind of move on the fly as we're going through this post-production process with such a short turnaround time in the post. But I don't know. I'm very proud of what we've created, and I can't wait for people to see it.
Yeah.
And so it does come out Friday, October 13th, which is, I mean, you can't write that any better. And we did say it at the beginning, guys, but the Indiegogo links is still in the description. So you can still get your perks. You can still get your physical copy of the film. Where will it be streaming so people can watch it the day it comes out?
It's going to be streaming on the Womp Stomp Films YouTube channel for free. We're going to release it at the same time that we debut. I can't announce the festival yet because we haven't got the official go-ahead, but we'll have a release time. We will coordinate that with the release of the festival, and there will be multiple screenings across the country that you can go to see it on the big screen. And I will say, if you can see this film on the big screen, that is the best way to experience that. I build these films, the whole point of the first film was I wanted an opportunity to get it in front of a group of Friday the 13th fans and have them all sit in the theater and watch it for the first time since 2009 back in 2017. And October 13th is the 6-year anniversary to the release of Never Hike Alone 1. We were debuted at the Telluride Horror Show on Friday the 13th 6 years ago. So we figured it was only serendipitous to come back and do the same exact thing and say that's the start of that was the beginning. This is the end of our story. And thanks for coming out.
Yeah.
Well, and the best way for you guys to see if it's coming to a city near you is by clicking the links in the description, because I have the Womp Stomp Film social media links. I have all of Vin's social media links, everything down in the description. So make sure you're following him, because like he said, next we're going to start getting some original Womp Stomp material. And I can't wait for that. Like I said, there is an originality to the Never Hike films, because Vin has put his own spin on everything. Womp Stomp Films, everybody that works on the projects, they put their own spin and their own take on things. So to see what they do next in the original format, I'm very, very excited. So make sure you're clicking these links. And like I said, make sure that you are helping the Indiegogo if you have the funds. You get some amazing perks. And you're also helping, like you said, there's still scenes that need to be shot. The editing still has to be done. It's still a tiresome process. So Vin, please don't go anywhere. I got a couple more questions for you. Everybody else, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. It really does help the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. All our links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror.
Stay who you are.
And we'll see you guys soon.